Welcome everybody to PinstripeChronicles. I am Tats, and I am here with Rob and Donald. And the Blue Jays have taken two of the four games so far. The Yankees did pull away with one win, a good one. Yesterday's game was a lot better than the score shows. I thought they had a better effort yesterday. Cole, I want to put a bit of focus on first because he's been the hot talking point. I thought, and Donald, you had made a statement before we recorded that you thought it was a better start than we saw. And I actually agree with you. I think that Cole pitched a lot better yesterday than he did on opening day. I thought, he was commanding a lot more of his pitches. We just got beat by one guy, And the other factor, the Yankees were hitting the ball. The Blue Jays defense was aligned so well, it didn't matter where they were standing. That's where the ball was going to go. Their defense just shut our offense down. It wasn't the pitching. It was the defense, really. And it was just a really good game. And that is a true tip your cap game yesterday. But Donald, your comment.
I mean, a lot of the pitches were fine.
Yep.
I think, the two home runs that Vlad hit, the first one was a slider. It hung a little bit. It was still a fairly solid pitch. I think 99 times out of 100, no one else hits that out of the park.
Let me throw in there the fact that Hicks dropped the ball, that made it a home run.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it was a difficult catch, but a quality center fielder catches that. But I'm not going to go too much on Aaron Hicks on that. It was kind of difficult, but just in terms of that pitch, it was a okay pitch. I don't think it was that bad a pitch. The second one was actually an even better pitch. That was a quality pitch, but Vlad absolutely smashed it. You just tip your cap. Listen, the best hitter in baseball resides in Toronto, not New York. It's as simple as that. I'm sorry if people are going to be angry at me a little, but Judge is not on Vlad's planet. Vlad is on a planet to himself. Vlad the Impaler is terrifying, and he's the moon has a couple of more souvenirs now. After his incredible performance yesterday. Even Loizaga comes in, and he didn't even pitch all that badly. I'm sure anybody else in baseball, if he pitched to them, I think would have been fine. He probably would have had a 1-2-3, and because Vlad's there, it's a home run and it looks bad. It's just you just tip your cap. A better hitter crushed us, and I'm sorry, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is the best hitter in baseball. Ohtani's there too, but I think Vlad is even on another level in himself. So you just got to tip your cap. I don't even think we played that badly. I was kind of getting annoyed for the first 5 innings. I was getting pretty pissed off. This is just miserable, boring ass baseball. But then the Yankees kind of rallied, and then they had that 3-run rally in the 5th inning. I was like, wow, okay, there's something happening here. And I actually thought we'd win the game after that rally, but then Vlad just comes in and that's it. And as to your point, man, defensively, Bichette was sensational.
Yeah.
He is a quality player, and he made some excellent plays. It's not like, dude, for me, Toronto are just a much better team in my opinion.
Yeah, the one thing I was thinking watching the game near the end was this is a team that we're going to be battling all season. It's the first 3 games out of the 18 that we will play against them, tonight being game number 4. So you chalk it up to, Bichette was just, on defense. He's had a phenomenal series overall.
Yeah.
And yesterday, Vlad he was in the zone, and you could have thrown it at his head. He was going to hit it out of the park. He's just that type of guy. When he has those games, you go, oh shit, and they should have just put him right on base the last at bat. Because you were still in striking distance. You have a hot hitter that is just really feeling so confident in himself, you don't even let him swing a bat.
No.
I thought that was the one mistake with Vlad yesterday. Not, they should have walked him that last at bat. Rob, did you think that that's that time that you do just say, you know what, I'm not even going to give you a chance, being that the game was still in reach?
Should have been. They should. I mean, you pitch around him at least. Don't give him a free pass, but don't give him anything to hit. That's what they did, and that's. I think it was the second home run. It was like 98 running in, and he still hit it out of the park. Like that's just one of those moments that you're just like, all right, he beat you there. Yeah. I don't think this series tells me that the Blue Jays are far better than us because, their defense has really just been kicking our ass this whole time. Like the first game, Stanton hit a rope that should have been an RBI hit, and Bichette just scoops it in like a vacuum. It's just like he's always there. So you got to give them credit for their defense. Even though we got shut out that game, their defense kept us from scoring a few runs. Last night, again, you thought Stanton hit a moonshot to tie it.
Oh, that was so lucky.
Terrible camera work by Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, we had a chance to win that game, and one player, really just one player, killed that. I think Cole was fine, except for Vlad. He was looking a lot better. Everything pointed to us probably should have been able to win that game, except for the fact that Vlad Jr. had an outstanding night. So you tip your cap to him. You just hope they can bounce back, get us a split. That's what we all said we'd be fine with a split early in the season. Don't get bullied. We haven't been bullied by them. Even, they gave us a shutout. We got them right back the next day. Just try to win this game. Look, I think so far through the first 3 games, I'd say we're not far apart from how these two teams stack up. So
yeah, I think a good way to analyze these 3 games was we were outplayed but not overmatched. I think is a fair way to really sum up how they played against the Blue Jays, because we answered the shutout back with a shutout of our own. Last night we were maybe a foot away from tying the game with Stanton. The defense, their defense was just stellar. And we have hitters that just haven't found their rhythm yet. And they have players as well. They only had I think yesterday 2 or 3 players that were actually getting on base. It's not like they were getting a ton of hits off of us either. We weren't getting, they didn't have any runaway innings where we just couldn't figure them out. That's why I think we were outplayed, but not overmatched.
I do think that if Boone wasn't rotating so much, that we probably would have stolen 1, if not 2, more wins to our total already this year. I think that had Stanton played yesterday, he would have crushed at least 1 home run. I mean, you saw how close he was in that pinch hit scenario where I honestly thought I let out a girly scream when he hit that shot. I thought it was like, it's gone. And it was caught at the wall. It was really unfortunate, but I'm pretty convinced if you had a further 3 or 4 more at bats, he would have tattooed at least one of them. And I certainly know that the game where DJ LeMahieu sat, they really needed him. I think that was against Boston, am I right? They would have won that game for sure with DJ LeMahieu. So I think they're costing themselves games with these stupid rotations. And to be honest, if you want to rotate, I understand, but you should be rotating against the Orioles. You should be rotating against teams that, are completely inferior to you so that you can afford to, rest 1 or 2 guys. But when you're in divisional matchups where every single win counts from here out, you don't take these games off, in my opinion. So I think it's an L to Brian Cashman and Aaron Boone for the way that they're putting together this lineup. They're mixing. They're kind of just messing around at this point. The way I look at it is the first 2 games, we had a very solid lineup, right? And people are getting used to their situations. They're wanting Donaldson to lead off. I don't think he's a leadoff hitter for one, but they want Donaldson to lead off. Yeah, they want Donaldson to lead off, then Rizzo and Judge and Stanton. it's pretty solid. And for the first two games, we won those two games. And it was fairly consistent at bats we were getting. It wasn't like these were terrible at bats. But then it's quite interesting that as soon as the Yankees went away from it, they started rotating guys and mixing and matching, and people are batting all over the order. What's happened? Our offense is basically shot right down to the bottom, just like they did last year. I mean, it's really the way I describe the Yankees. The definition of insanity is repeating the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. This is the way the Yankees manage their seasons, and it's proven to not work. It's proven to cost them key games. It's proven to cost them the division on a number of occasions now, and it's not done anything massively to help our injury situation. So there's not really any excuse to be resting this many guys. I don't think other teams do it as much as the Yankees do, and I think it's a huge mistake. They should be just getting consistent. They need to be getting consistent guys in consistent spots, keep them where they are, get used to their situation, get used to where they're batting in the order, and you will get more consistent at bats. If you want to rest guys, you rest them against teams that are, that you can be confident that you can afford to lose one key bat. Against Toronto, against Boston, against Tampa, we can't be doing these things. That's my opinion, and I'm holding for it.
Even in the first game, they sat Gallo and he was hitting the ball well. The average wasn't where he was hitting the ball hard. And then they sat him because of the lefty matchup. It's like you got to have the guys that are actually swinging the bat well in the lineup. This is 4 games in and you're already saying, matchup. Like you got to have Gallo in the lineup as much as possible just because what he can do when he hits it. That's why you have to have Stanton and Judge and LeMahieu, Rizzo. These guys have to be playing every day. If you want to rotate your 8-9 hitters like Falefa and Higashioka, go for it because they're not hitting at all. They're combined 80, it's bad. So
Falefa's batting average is .59 and Higashioka is .56.
Right, so they're just a shade over 100. So it's terrible. So you want to rotate.
56?
Yeah, you want to rotate those guys, go for it. But you can't be. I know Gallo's average is low, but he's hitting the ball hard. He's. Well,
that's what it is. They're making contact.
Right, and that's what everyone wants to see. Right, make contact. It's better than a strikeout. Well, he's doing so, and then you're taking him out of the lineup. Like the third game against Boston, you take DJ out for Aaron Hicks, and we all know Aaron Hicks is what ended up costing us that game. He came up twice in big situations, didn't do anything. And it's, you hate to see it this early in the season. Like we knew it was going to happen because of the fact they have 5 infielders. But if Falefa is not hitting, why are you forcing him into the lineup? Just, what? If you're going to do it anyway, just put Torres back at short because it's not helping us having Falefa out there. He hasn't looked great defensively. I know it's still very, very early to make assumptions, but I mean, just there are things you can do. You want to win as many games because we saw last year how losing these games early cost us in the end. So I'm not saying we would have won had we had had we had the same lineup every day, but would have at least maybe scored a couple of runs the first game against Toronto. We probably could have won last night had Stanton played, like you said, Donald. So again, just stop with this. Let's rotate stuff. You keep your best players in as much as you possibly can. If they absolutely need a day off, if they have like a little nagging injury, then yeah. But if they're 100% ready to go, let them play.
See, what we're starting to see in this, it's only the second series of the season, so it's hard to go deep analysis on it. But, your initial gut, you're watching, especially this year with this series, the rotating guy, it's almost like who's not playing today. It's like a guessing game because somebody's going to be sitting on the bench. And you need to have, especially in the beginning of a season, I know a guy like Torres, you don't want to just have sitting on the bench, for 2-3 games. We know that's not going to make sense. Was this roster, now that we're looking at the way that it's in-game play, the way this was constructed, Boone is really in a really tough spot because he's in a no-win situation with the players and with us, because he can't just say, like I said a minute ago, you can't have Glaber sitting for 3 games. But playing musical chairs with the day who's going to take the game off is not bringing any consistency to the lineup and letting everything flow.
That's exactly what
and Boone can't win like this. It's not going to. This is
the
not
Yankees can't win like this.
No,
it's not just Boone. The Yankees can't win like this.
I was saying Boone because if he's making the lineups as he says, he doesn't. We know that. So Boone is really the Yankees and Cashman put him in a really bad spot.
They have. I actually, oddly, as much as I can't stand the guy and I wish he was never the manager, but I don't think he's managed all that awfully this year.
No.
I don't think he's made any huge errors or anything like that management-wise. I think it's just in general, he's been put in a no-win situation. The roster really doesn't fit. We've got far too many infielders, and there's not a lot you can do with the 7, 8, 9 spot. And that's on Cashman. It's nothing to do with Boone.
Yeah.
And also Cashman's hamstrung him. He doesn't have anybody on the bench. And Cashman's put him in a scenario where he basically has to rotate guys just to keep everybody happy. And so I'm putting all this on the front office. I just think I don't think Boone's allowed to manage, and I don't think he's allowed to really do anything out there. So I don't have too many complaints about Boone. I mean, I don't think he did anything wrong yesterday, for instance. I would have put Loizaga in that spot. Didn't work. Tip your cap to Vlad. It is what it is. I think it's just an ill-fitting roster. There's far too many infielders. I don't really understand how that would even work, and it's not working to this point. And also, what I don't understand is I understand that you want to get people off their feet if they're playing defense or playing in the out. He's sitting. That doesn't make any sense. What is he sitting for? He's a DH. I mean, if you want to get guys, like if you want to rest Judge and put him in a DH, fine. You can rotate people around. That makes sense. Hicks, you can bench him a couple of days a week. That would make sense.
Well, that's what it is.
Gallo, put him to DH a couple of times. If you need to rest him and get him off his feet, fine. It's not that I'm anti people sitting. It's that's what the DH is for. How is Stanton coming up for 4 at-bats and sitting down again for the next 3 hours? A massive strain on his legs. I mean, there's no narrative that suggests that him sitting completely from a DH situation makes any sense at all.
O'Neill made a comment on the broadcast. I think it was not last night, the game before, and they were talking about the rotating lineup. And he's going, and they asked him, does the sitting for one game really affect a player? He's like, we never even thought about that. Because we would show up to the ballpark, we didn't even look at the lineup card because we knew we knew what position we were playing and what part of the order we were. It was, and if it was going to be changed, we knew before we even got to the ballpark. So when we got there, we knew exactly what our preparation was going to be. That's gone. I don't think you'll ever see that again, where this is where you're on the lineup. This is your position every day, unless you're a catcher. This is where you're going to be. The Yankees really need to get back to having that, sustainability in the lineup. They got to be consistent, because that's when you get into a rhythm. That's when you start to improve on your offense and defense.
Here's the crazy thing. If the Yankees had Vlad Guerrero, he's already been sat twice this year. You know what I mean? Because they've already done it to everybody. Give me a break. It's just ridiculous.
There's been no consistency in the lineup for years now. So they're not going to do it now if they haven't done it for the last 4 or 5 years since Boone came. And the last time we really had consistency was 2017. The only thing that changed then was the order. When Judge started hitting, because he started the season batting 8th, when he started hitting, they moved him up to the 4 spot and the 2 spot. That's really it. But since then, it's just been every day someone's sitting and they're rotating spots. There's no need to be rotating if someone's not hitting. I know Falefa will end up being okay, but right now, like, you're just the bottom of your order is automatic outs. Higashioka is not a good hitter. I don't care what he did in the spring. He's right now is really what he is. He hit 190 last year for a reason. Everyone talks about Gallo. He can't hit. And then they're like, oh, Higashioka had 7 home runs in the spring. Put him in the lineup. But, well, you're seeing what he really is. There's a difference between spring and regular season. So you can't have 3 automatic outs in the lineup back to back to back. You just can't do it. So
what is the alternative though, man?
Maybe I don't know. Maybe if you just stop Aaron Hicks every single day, why can't Joey Gallo play center? You could put him in between them. I don't care if he has to bat 8th, but
no, I agree. Yeah.
I'm hoping, praying that I know Rortvedt doesn't hit, but when he gets healthy, maybe just having his lefty bat from time to time can do something. I'm sure Falefa will be okay at some point, but right now, like, what are you getting out of him? Just put Torres back at short if you have to, but this is why it goes back to the offseason.
Yeah.
You put yourself in, if you weren't going to go for one of the big guys, why not just let, one of the young kids come up? Right now, I'd rather see Peraza swinging the bat than what Falefa has given us.
Of course.
So you have options. I don't know what they're going to do. I'm sure tonight you'll see pretty much the same lineup. Stanton will be out there for sure, but Aaron Hicks had that 1 home run, and he has been playing ever since. They're going to keep putting him in there because he's swinging a good bat. He stepped. There's another thing about Vlad is he got his hand stepped on yesterday, and he still hit a home run.
That's crazy, yeah.
Guy's nuts.
And Michael Cray was crying about the length of time that it was taking for him to get his finger fixed. And I'm thinking, dude, just stop being a homer. I mean, why do you want Vlad out of the game? Come on.
I'm sick of Michael.
You know what I mean?
Well, if
you're Garrett Cole. Oh, come on.
We all want to let out of the game at that point already. But I mean, come on. I
didn't like it at all. But further to Rob's point, that's what I'm talking about, man. That's that's why this infield situation doesn't make any sense. You need Gleyber Torres to play every day, but he's a much worse defensive second baseman than LeMahieu is. But you've got to play Torres. And where are you going to play LeMahieu? So that means that someone has to sit. You can't sit Rizzo because he's our best hitter apart from Stanton this year. So who are you going to sit? Donaldson. They've invested $26 million in Donaldson. So you want him to be playing. So that's why it's like, what are they going to do? Other than put Torres as shortstop, he's the worst shortstop in the world. So it's like the Yankees have tied themselves. And that's why I don't blame Aaron Boone. Brian Cashman's lifting them as roster, which is dumb. And we've got 3 automatic outs. Well, certainly 2. And Aaron Hicks, this is a very one-off. It'll go right back to normal very soon. He's not hitting anything. So very soon it'll be 7, 8, and 9, nothing. Higashioka is basically a pitcher batting, and so is Falafi. So you got 2 pitchers batting essentially 8 and 9 because that's like pitchers can hit better than what these 2 are doing. So it's like I think that the way Cashman has constituted this roster is ridiculous. I mean, listen, I understand the plan was to go defense. That is cool, but it's like I think he just imagined that there's little contact, little speed, and so when you're in these situations where the Yankees are in a tie game or down 1, Toronto have the ability to create runs and manufacture runs. Boston do. The Yankees have no ability to do it. The Yankees are sitting and they're waiting for walks and they're waiting for home runs and they strike out a lot because it's all exit velo and uppercut swings. I don't understand it. It's my exact issue that I had last year's team and the year before that and the year before that and for the last 10 years essentially. And nothing's changed. And that's why I've got a major red flag with this team because and it's actually, technically it's a worse offensive lineup than it was last year.
Donna, I have a quick question for you. If you had to take a guess on who has the highest batting average so far on the team, who would you say it was?
Well, I think it's probably Aaron Hicks, but it doesn't really mean anything.
That's why I'm like, right now he's batting, what was it?
Like 350 or something.
353 he's hitting.
So it's a one.
Stanton's at 238.
Yeah, but he's crushing the ball.
But his at bats have counted more. But I mean, Hicks is getting on base. So like you said, I don't know how sustainable it's going to be, but I think it's fair to Hicks to kind of lay you off and being the dead end of the bottom. So having him in the seventh, maybe move him to the ninth spot to roll over into the top of the order.
But you still have, if you put Falefa and Higashioka 7-8, you're still 2 automatic outs back to back. So you probably want to split Hicks in between them. But
maybe do that. Maybe put him eighth.
Here's the thing with Hicks is it's not that he's a terrible. I don't think he's a terrible player. I just think he can't stay healthy. So that's why I don't want to get too excited, because I know he can hit. We saw it in his one healthy season, 2018. He was one of our better hitters. He gets on base. He hits for power. He plays good defense. It just doesn't stay healthy. So you're kind of like, as bad as this is to say, you're kind of like, what's he going to pull? Is he going to sprain something? That's what it's been for him. It sucks because we know he can be good. A healthy Aaron Hicks is worth $10 million a year. What we've been getting isn't worth $10 million. So it's just like you have to hope he can stay healthy, but the best way to do that is if you rotate him. But when he's hitting like this, you can't do that. So you're kind of playing with fire. You're just like, if he plays every day, when's it going to happen? And that's an unfortunate part of what his career has been. I wish they'd put Gallo in center a little bit. But right now, if Hicks is hitting, you have to put him in the lineup. You just have to find a way. I don't care if they have to have Falefa drop some bunts. Get him on base because he's fast. I don't care how he's getting on base. Just get him on base. He could hit 150 this year. If he's drawing a bunch of walks and getting on base, that's fine. We just need his speed. Higashioka, I already know what he is. I'm okay with the offense not being there for him because we need his defense. We also need Falefa's defense, but we need his speed. So if you're at least getting him on base, that's better than him just hitting the ball on the ground every at bat and getting an easy out. So we need him on base. We also need Hicks because he's one of our better runners. So we need the speed on the base pass. We know what the guys at the top of the order can do. Judge looked good yesterday. He roped one into nearly into
better.
He's looked a lot better except for that last at bat where he struck out on a high fastball. But they're swinging the bats well. They're putting themselves in chances to come back. The pitching's been good. The bullpen's been really good. It's just like yesterday, like we keep saying, we got beat by one guy.
Yep.
Any other night, we probably win that game, if not for Vlad having a night he did.
But to be fair, Joel Sherman did have that article, and he pointed out how terrible the Yankees are runners in scoring position. The Yankees are not hitting runners in scoring position right now, and they didn't at all, and they haven't done so for years. Exactly. So that's why I'm saying it's almost exactly the carbon copy as last year, as far as I'm concerned. It's the same approach.
17 runners left on base,
and I think that'll change.
And as Joel Sherman points out, there's no run creation in this roster. It's very difficult to manufacture runs. It's just basically relying on a home run. So it's all or nothing team again.
I mean, that will hopefully change when, if Falefa starts hitting more and if they stop putting their power bats at the top of the leadoff spot. I don't know why they've had twice this year, most times this year, Donaldson or Rizzo leading off. It just doesn't make sense to me.
Well, that's again on, sorry to interrupt again, but that's again on Cashman. Cashman easily could have gotten a leadoff hitter. What if he went and signed Marte? To put it, stick him a leadoff, he was going to give you 40 strikeouts, 40 stolen bases, and he's going to give you a 300 batting average. And then you can put LeMahieu 2 or Rizzo 2, and LeMahieu 5. Then you got yourself a very solid team, an exciting team, with speed and better run creation. Then you can afford to have a Falefa and a Higashioka batting 0 at the bottom of the order, and it's not a big deal. But when you're relying on what you're relying on, it really emphasizes the lack of bat that we have down at the bottom of the order.
Right, and to have LeMahieu in a RBI spot instead of having at the top of the order where he gets on base. The best version of DJ LeMahieu we saw is where he was just getting on base, leading off innings with a single or a gap double, whatever. And then you rely on the big guys to bring him in. We have him batting in a big guy spot. Like I know he can bring in the runs, but if Donaldson's not getting on base, what does it matter, right? So why can't they just switch those two? And the lineup looks a little bit more deep if you just switch those two, right? Or let Torres bat lead off because he's hitting the ball pretty well so far. He's had some good swings. He hit a home run yesterday. He's elevating the ball. Try something different. We don't need a power bat in the leadoff spot because you might get
Rizzo
a leadoff.
leading off.
Right. You don't need that. What does it do for us? Because Rizzo hit a home run yesterday, but it wasn't to lead off the first inning. No, it came later in the ball game. So why are we doing this? Like, again, it goes back to Cashman. Why is he trying to be smarter than everybody when every time he opens his stupid mouth, he says something dumber than the last time? And I don't know. It doesn't make the lineup construction every day is different. And every day we're just like, why is this guy here? Why is this guy here? Simple switch. Stick with LeMahieu, Rizzo, Judge at the top in some capacity. If you want to switch Judge and Rizzo, fine. But you got to keep your best hitters in the leadoff spot. When the Yankees were winning championships, who was at the top? Knobloch or Jeter, right?
Exactly.
Even in 2009, it was Jeter and Damon. And then you had the big boys bring them in. It's one of those concepts in baseball that's never going to go away. Your big bats are there in the middle of the order for a reason. Bring in your contact hitters.
Well, that's why the Yankees are so obsessed with analytics. It's like, right, it doesn't matter if they've got a reasonable OBP. It's all about how they swing and the type of contact that they make and their approach with two strikes or whether they're able to draw deep counts. That's the kind of people that you need at the top of the order. And speed is better than having somebody that is as slow as molasses leading off. You want something in order to manufacture some kind of runs, and most teams follow that philosophy. But the Yankees think they're smarter than everybody else, or they think that you just put a big power guy because they've got a high on-base percentage at the top of the order, that this somehow makes their lineup better. No, it makes their lineup weaker because once you get down to the six downwards, there's kind of a dearth of hitting. I think it's just a really frustrating way. I mean, I think that our lineup is flawed, but I think that it could be a lot better if they. It's certainly fixable in the short term, if they made those amendments. But as I said, it's the definition of insanity is to repeat the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. This is the way the Yankees have constituted the way that they like to play a year out, and it's basically, as far as I'm concerned, it's failed, and but they're not interested in changing it. So what can we do? We're just going to be shouting into a wall for the next year because they're just going to keep doing the same thing.
So who would you, if you had to take a guess, who's sitting tonight?
Ooh.
Well, knowing the Yankees track record, they'll sit Judge because he homered last night.
Is that yet?
I don't think so, no.
Whose turn is it?
They probably should sit Falefa, and they'll put Glaber at shortstop, which is going to put Twitter in an uproar. But right now, that's probably your best option. Unless you're going to go with that big boy outfield and you DH Donaldson and you have LeMahieu at third. I don't know. I would venture to guess it's going to be either Donaldson or Falefa sitting.
I would certainly play Marwin Gonzalez at some point in short. Yeah, give him a couple of games because there's no way that he can be any worse than Falafi in both respects. I don't think Falafi's played particularly good defense. His range is much better, but he's not really doing anything for me defensively.
No, I would give it to Gonzalez for give the rest of the week. Give tomorrow, today and tomorrow to Gonzalez. So see what this is the time of year where you can play let's see what happens. If you have another shortstop on the bench, switch them. See what maybe that wakes up somebody.
So I want to take this opportunity because we've not been on in a while. Brian Hodge has got an article saying here that Brian Cashman told Aaron Judge's camp that the $213 million contract offer would be announced if he did not agree to the deal. I mean, I have very strong feelings on this. So I just wanted to ask you guys how you feel about how they've approach negotiations with Aaron Judge? Would you say that it was a fair offer? Would you say that would you say that the way that the Yankees are handling their best player is fair to them?
I think it was a very fair offer, and I said it on Twitter. It's a fair offer, but you can also still say that Brian Cashman's a dope, because both can still be true. Yeah, it was a good offer to Aaron Judge. You locked him up for probably the rest of his career till he's 37, $31 million a year. It's a great offer. But the fact that they told him, if you don't accept this, we're telling everybody what we offered you. They don't ever do that. They've never done it for free agents. They've never done it for contract extension negotiations, because they really don't sign people before the season anyway. But this is very unusual. And it's all it is Brian Cashman trying to paint Aaron Judge like the villain. It's kind of working, because you have people booing Judge now, and they're calling him out in the bleachers. They're like, oh, the contract. And then they're just like, oh, you want the money. And it's starting, some of his little cronies out there are starting to, listen to Brian Cashman and paint Judge to be the villain. And when he leaves in the offseason and goes to San Francisco or to the Mets, and he puts on those nasty blue pinstripes, and people are going to say, well, why didn't you pay him? It's going to be, well, you guys are booing him. You guys listen to your GM. I mean, I don't like the way they handled it, because you keep, and then what was Cashman's excuse at the press conference? That would have gotten out anyway, so I just wanted to get ahead of it. Are you kidding me?
Well, then let them off is tight.
Yeah, let them put out their reports, and you can just say it made me true. All he had to do was say, we put out an offer that we thought was a good offer. They said, no, we'll get back to it at the All-Star break or after the season. We'll see if anything goes. That's all they had to say. But then to do it, 2 hours before opening day's first pitch, and now Judge has to go play the first game of the season with that being asked. He's asked questions left and right. Then once the game ended, here's more questions about your extension. That's going to be on his head the whole year, and he's still playing pretty well. But now that's all people are going to talk about. And they're going to say, well, the Yankees made a good offer. Aaron Judge is the bad guy. And that's how Cashman wants it, because his ego wouldn't allow anything else. That's your best player. That is your biggest superstar that you've homegrown since Derek Jeter. And when I say superstar, I mean someone who's marketable outside of the sport.
Yeah.
Cano was our best homegrown player since Jeter until Judge came around. But the best
is basically extorting Aaron Judge, saying, if you don't agree to this contract offer, we're going to announce to everybody that you turned down this massive offer, and it's going to make you look bad. I mean, that is not negotiating in good faith. And you're kind of putting your best players back up a little bit, because also they failed to agree to his arbitration. He wants 21. The Yankees are holding fast at 17. And if anyone knows what happens in an arbitration hearing, once they go to arbitration hearing, they get told everything that they do wrong. But Tats never forgave the Yankees, and it really upset Tats when the Yankees took him to arbitration, and they had to go through court, and then the Yankees were telling him everything that he did wrong, right? Are they going to do that to their best player, their franchise player, the player that has a stand named after him? So this is not negotiating in good faith, right? And so they go into this offer, right, where they easily could have signed it years ago. If they offered him a 9 or 10 year contract years ago for 30.7 AAV, which was, I believe, is basically what it was. If they offered that a couple of years ago, I'm pretty sure he would have signed it, and it would have been a very good offer, right? But if you wait to this point, 3 weeks before opening pitch, right, and Aaron Judge already told his camp and Brian Cashman's camp that anything after the very first pitch of opening day, I'm not negotiating with you guys. So the Yankees left themselves 3 weeks. And you got to get it done, especially when you tell the fans that the whole reason why you didn't bring in Correa or Seager or you name it was because you need to re-sign Aaron Judge, which is a bullshit excuse in the first place. But okay, we're going to ride with it. And you didn't even get it done. That's on Brian Cashman. So Brian Cashman, the little weasel, decides, I'm going to go and announce to everybody that you turned down this offer, because he's taking advantage of the fact that we're in a situation where people are, they are never, ever going to see $30.7 million in their lives, right? So they're thinking, how could Aaron Judge possibly turn down $200 million? These are athletes. It's also, it's also inflation, and these baseball players are getting paid through the roof. And if you look at it, the 30.7 isn't actually all that great in line with Seager, 32.5. You name it. Correa, 35 AAV, right? Aaron Judge, 30.7. He probably just wants to be paid in line with those guys.
Yeah.
So if the Yankees upped it to 32, 33, 34 AAV, I'm pretty sure the deal gets done. And then the Yankees leaked that he wanted 10 years, and then Judge's camp said, no, I never wanted 10 years. It looks to me like the Yankees were trying to paint a narrative to make Aaron Judge the bad guy, and the fans have lapped it up. And it's really an awful look from Brian Cashman, because what he's doing is he's gaslighting the war, stuff. Much better than Correa's, and that's fine. This is a great deal, right? No, it's not. Terrible. And, oh, no, I can totally understand the Yankees not bringing in Aaron Judge for $30.7 million. Oh, that's absolutely fine. It's not. Cashman is gaslighting you guys, and it's really embarrassing. It's not a good look for the Yankees. And also, just accept his $21 million arbitration. Don't take him to arbitration hearing. That's just dumb. Don't make your best player fall out with you.
Yep.
Don't do it. Not in this market. You don't do it. You just cannot do it. I mean, what's the alternative? You're going to play out the season. Aaron Judge is going to have a good year. I don't believe he's going to get hurt that much. He's going to hit you 40 home runs. Then you're going to probably have to pay him more. In line with fighting off the Giants and fighting off the Mets. You could have just gotten this done years ago. So this is on Brian Cashman, and I'm also not going to accept him gaslighting me. I'm not dumb. He thinks that we're dumb, and he's been embarrassing himself because he thinks Yankee fans are stupid. Yankee fans, for the most part, are pretty smart. They kind of know what's going on, apart from the ones that just use Yankee Stadium as a tourist attraction. Yeah, as a hangout to eat sushi and get drunk, right? But most of the fans that turn up are very smart, intuitive, and know what's going on. And Brian Cashman is basically treating us like we're idiots. Yeah, let's just gaslight the fans and make it look like Aaron Judge is greedy. He's not greedy. He's a sportsman. He's just trying to get his money. He deserves it. He's what? He's the face of the franchise. You're trying to undercut the face of the franchise and make him look greedy? That is gaslighting. Gaslighting 101, and I will not accept it.
No, that pretty much is it. Yeah, they should have. It's the offer, like we've been saying. The offer was a very fair offer. For a player that, he had the Rookie of the Year. The home run derby that really propelled him to be a superstar. The Judge, you named it part of the stadium after the guy already. But with the injury history, whether it was really baseball related or just bad luck, you're not going to get the top dollar for your position. If he shows that he can stay healthy through this whole year, maybe that next offer was in the 34, 35 range. But you got to keep the negotiations open. Exposing the contract to the public is pretty much saying that we have a fail-safe, that if he doesn't sign, we always can go back to the tapes and say, well, we gave him an offer. This is what we offered, and he didn't want to stay here, rather than where a real negotiation is going back and forth. I think that it was very, very bad PR for Cashman, especially that if he wants to stay as the GM, because his contract's up too, he's got a lot of work. He's got to figure this out and correct this quick, because I think if they lose Judge, I can see them saying, you know what, we don't need you anymore either.
I mean, I don't disagree with holding some kind of a line. I mean, I also say that I don't think Aaron Judge is that much of an impact. I don't think he really impacts the Yankees' wins or losses over that much. I mean, just from what I see, I think he's obviously one of the best players in baseball, but I don't think he's the best player in baseball or anything close to it. But he's still very good. I just don't agree with gaslighting
Well,
the
I think
fans and
there's
also
only
and
there's
also treating Aaron Judge like that. I just think it's a bad look. I just think it's a terrible look.
I believe I saw, and I don't have the numbers in front of me, but there are only 2 other outfielders with a higher WAR than Judge, and that's Trout and Hall.
Judge is one of the best players in baseball. He is when he's healthy.
Yeah.
And the injuries that he's had, he got hit on the wrist in 2018.
Yeah.
You're gonna call him injury prone for us for that? Like he got hurt diving for a ball. Like you just say, oh, you're injured. He's a big dude. You're probably gonna get hurt.
He's not getting injuries like our the manager playing basketball when he wasn't.
Yeah, he's not like walking. He's not waking up going, my back. He doesn't have like a nagging back injury or his hip. He doesn't need life alert. He's getting hurt playing the game. He got hurt getting hit by a baseball. Like I want you to go step in the batter's box, get hit 95 miles an hour on the wrist, and tell me you're going to play the next day. You're just not going to do it. So when he's on the field, he is by far our best player. And if we didn't have him last year, guess what? We don't make the playoffs because Stanton wasn't doing it all by himself. It was Judge. It was a lot more Stanton, but Judge and Stanton carried us to the playoffs last year. If you take one of those 2 out, but in this case you take Judge out, guess what? We don't win 92 games. We don't make the postseason, and you're gonna say, "Wow, what about the people that want to trade Aaron Judge?" You get him off this lineup right now. Who's hitting in his place right now? It ain't Gallo because you guys hate Gallo. It ain't going to be Aaron Hicks. So, if you take Aaron Judge off this team, they better have a really, really good backup plan because right now it's not on the roster because you can't just rely.
You're right. It isn't on the roster.
No,
he is an impact. I think I purely worded it. He is an impact player, but I think in terms of like clutch at bats, he's not great in the clutch. He's not been particularly good in the playoffs. Stanton's much better in the playoffs. I think that's probably what my point is more. But he is a hugely impact player, and he's one of the best players in baseball. And you can't gaslight fans, and you can't treat him like he's greedy. He's not remotely greedy, not even the slightest.
No, but that's unfortunately that's the picture that's been painted.
Yep.
Which again, everything we said about this organization is for years now they've been trying to make us look stupid. Like, oh, how dare you question Hal Steinbrenner? He got you Giancarlo Stanton and Garrett Cole. Well, if you're going to pay Garrett Cole $34 million a year to pitch once every 5 days, you tell me you can't give Aaron Judge a few more million a year to keep him for the rest of his career?
Yeah.
Why can't you do it? You're worth $7 billion. It actually came out today. The richest franchise in all of sports, $7 billion, and you can't afford to pay your best player?
Yeah, we've overtaken the Cowboys.
Yeah. So keep lying to us, Brian Cashman.
That's it. It's a lie. It's a blatant lie. And also, if you're gonna have guys like Stanton and Cole in their primes, you need to put a better team around them in order to win championships. Other than that, you're just wasting their prime years. So, and you're wasting Judge's prime years. They should have tied them down, man. They should have tied them down last year or the year before that. None of this would be happening.
It's true. Well, we'll see what happens in the off season because it's going to be interesting. But right now, we just got to focus on what we can, and that's the games at hand.
Yeah. Shame on the fans for booing Judge. By the way, shame on the fans for booing Judge. Yeah, that's just unacceptable. I mean, come on.
Yeah, I know that's what we do as fans. Is it's what have you done for me lately? But it's a little early for that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. In June, go for it. Not in April.
To be honest, I don't think it's ever acceptable to boo your best players unless they're completely tanking. There's really no excuse for it. If you want to boo the dudes that are doing shit, oh yeah, I'm the first one to do it.
Yeah, because they're not all going to have the same response as Stanton, where he's going, have you seen my at bats? I would boo me too. Aaron Judge doesn't come off as a player that would have that response. Because he is more reserved than outspoken. So I mean that answer from Stanton, like when he came over, I thought that was just one of the best interviews I ever in sports. I would boo me too if you watch my at bats. I'm like, you know what? That's a guy that can handle the New York.
Yeah, we're lucky to have Judge Stanton and Rizzo, to say Rizzo as well. I mean,
that's a three-headed monster.
Yeah, it's really good.
And once Donaldson gets going, we'll be in much better shape. I'm
not convinced.
Yeah, I'm still on the fence with what he's going to be able to do. But yeah, really Gallo is actually the one more than Donaldson that needs to get it going.
I'm not convinced either.
Yeah. But it's only the second series of the season, so we'll see how it progresses. It's still, they're playing competitive games. The record I don't think the record really indicates the fight that the team has put together.
What did you guys think of Dodgers taking out Correa in the 7th inning of a perfect game? Correa, sorry.
Kershaw.
Oh, that's Correa. Here we go. Sorry, guys. No, yeah, Kershaw.
The initial gut reaction, I was pissed. You don't do that. After hearing Kershaw's press conference, I think it was a mutual decision.
Yeah, it sucks because you wanted to see it. It would have been great to see it, but you understand that it was like it's still way too early. I mean, we saw it last year as Yankee fans. I mean, we let Kluber go, and it was May when he threw his no-hitter. He got hurt the next start. So I guess you don't want to risk it. The history would have been awesome. The moment would have been awesome. If it was like June, they probably let him still.
Yeah.
Even if it was May, they'd probably let him go finish it. But I think it's his first start of the year, right? If I'm not mistaken, or second start.
Is. Yeah, and he hasn't pitched more than 6 innings in a couple of years, I think.
Yeah, so they're being cautious. I get why they did it. I still wanted to see it, but I understand why.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Jeff Passan's got a good tweet here. If it's a no-hitter, whatever, yank him. Clayton Kershaw has thrown one, but there have been more than 220,000 games in MLB history. There has been 23 perfect games, especially with an 80 pitch count. And after 7 innings, you give him a chance. So I completely agree with Jeff Passan on that one. I just think that if it's a no-hitter, it's not really that big a deal. You yank him, fine. But perfect game, I mean, I still remember David Cohn's perfect game, and that was in 1999. I remember it from yesterday. It's that special. It's that revered in honor. That doesn't happen. It just does not happen. You can't pick and choose when someone's going to get a perfect game. Oh, well, we'll just wait till May, June. You don't know if that's ever going to happen again. Most likely, it's never going to happen again. And if you're trying to draw fans into the game, you don't yank somebody on the precipice of immortality. I just don't think that's a good look for drawing fans in the game. Is in line with analytics.
Yeah, but if Kershaw, if it was a mutual decision, is it really that much of a black eye?
I mean, I don't know how upset Kershaw. Obviously, publicly, Kershaw's not going to make a big deal out of it. I'm sure deep down, he's probably thinking, "Damn, I could have had that," and you might end up regretting it. I don't know. We'll see. I'm sure if they win the World Series, which they probably will this year, no one's going to make a big deal out of it. I'm just saying that optics-wise, in any other sport, if someone's going for history, you want fans to tune in and watch that history. You know what I mean? When Kobe Bryant's hitting 80-plus points in a game, you kind of want to watch it. You know what I mean? And you don't want to. You're not going to yank him after 60. After halftime. You know what I'm saying? It's just like you just kind of. I think you just gotta give him a chance. Just take it on a batter-to-batter basis. If he continues the perfect game, then great. If not, as soon as he puts somebody on base, then yank him. I just think that it was a missed opportunity and a shame. I think that would have been really awesome. But I guess it just shows, man, 23 perfect games in all of baseball history. All of baseball history. The most storied sport, the most historic sport in the world. And there's only been 23 of these. It just shows how awesome David Wells and David Cohn's perfect games are. And Don Larson. Yep. So I guess from a Yankee fan perspective, I guess it's good that it didn't go through, but because it makes their achievements all the better. But Damn, I think it's a bad look for baseball.
Well, it is hard. It's hard to say one way or the other. Because like I said, my initial reaction.
Come on, Tats, get your ass off the fence, man. Your ass is on the fence. You've got splinters on your ass. Make a choice. Make a decision. Go for it.
No, I just don't think that was. I feel that if it's 6 innings and Kershaw, the 7th inning, and Kershaw is like, I see your point, because we don't know the exact conversation between Kershaw and Roberts. It could have been like a real deep conversation, and where it's all right. How you feel? How do you feel? You haven't pitched in a while. Can you keep going? I'm thinking about do we stop this now before you get deeper into it? And I think it was a mutual decision. I don't think it's a bad look for baseball because everybody was was in an uproar. But I think that I don't think it was all David Roberts. So I don't think that he should take as many bullets as he is. I think it was a joint decision. And that is going to wrap things up for us today. Just remember, like, share, comment, and subscribe. Check out our social media in the description. Check us out on sportandam.com/player and Northeast Streaming Sports on Roku. Wear your pinstripes with pride and play hard.